We are live. Okay,
Hello.
Robin's there. Her
I am
thing
here.
there.
I think we're at the land was empty and there was a silence that did not seem to be the quiet of peace.
Oh yeah. Let's see. It's hard to flip forward in a Kindle because at least they have to like put in markers for chapters in Kindle books. And this particular edition, they didn't do that because they were lazy. So
Well, bastard. Well, it's page 21 in my copy.
no page numbers in Kindles.
See, there's reasons why I don't have a Kindle.
They work great for what they work for in the sense that this is 200 books right here.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
they don't
200.
take a lot of room.
Yeah, this is 200 books that I didn't have to move along with the other 50 boxes of books that when we moved.
Right.
And the fact that my friend who showed up to help us move is still friends with me is a miracle.
And shout out to that human.
Indeed. One of my favorite humans. Does not watch this podcast, but shout out anyway.
It's okay, nobody does.
That might actually be true. It's okay, we're here. All right, I found it. At dusk, they halted again. Now twice 12 leagues they had passed over the plains of Rohan, so that would be 24 leagues, which is...
Roughly 80 miles?
That sounds right. I can't do 3 times 24 in my head, so I'm going to trust you.
Yeah, and then it's like gotta be a half times 24. Whatever. 3 times 24 is 70 something.
Sounds great. Anyways, it was a long time.
Yes.
A long ass distance.
12 parsecs.
Over the plains of Rohan, and the wall of the Emyn Wheel was lost in the shadows of the east. The young moon was glimmering in a misty sky, but it gave small light, and the stars were veiled. Now do I most grudge a time of rest or any halt in our chase, said Legolas. The orcs have run before us, as if the very whips of Sauron were behind them. I fear they have already reached the forest and the dark hills, and even now are passing into the shadows of the trees. Gimli ground his teeth. This is a bitter end to our hope and to all our toil, he said. To hope, may be, but not to toil, said Aragorn.
Thank you.
Shall not... Right? Aragorn is extremely cheerful. He's a leader of men because he motivates them with positivity. Wait, no, the opposite of that.
Yeah. No, it's the to hope maybe, but not to toil is definitely mood.
Oh, too real. Okay. We shall not turn back here. Yet I am weary. He gazed back along the way that they had come, towards the night gathering in the east. There is something strange at work in this land. I distrust the silence. I distrust even the pale moon. The stars are faint, and I am weary as I have seldom been before. Weary as no ranger should be, with a clear trail to follow. There is some will that lends speed to our foes, and sets an unseen barrier before us, a weariness that is in the heart more than in the limb. Also a mood.
Yes. Holy crap, who can't relate to that?
Truly, said Legolas, that I have known since first we came down from the Emyn Wheel. For the will is not behind us, but before us. He pointed away over the land of Rohan into the darkling west under the sickle moon. Saruman, muttered Aragorn, but he shall not turn us back. Halt we must once more, for, see, even the moon is falling into gathering cloud. But north lies our road between Down and Fen when day returns. As before, Legolas was first afoot, if indeed he had ever slept, which he probably hadn't, because elves really don't.
Yeah.
Awake! Awake! He cried. It is a red dawn. Strange things await us by the eaves of the forest. Good or evil I do not know, but we are called. Awake! The others sprang up, and almost at once they set off again. Slowly the downs drew near. It was still an hour before noon when they reached them, great green slopes rising to bare ridges that ran in a line straight towards the north. At their feet the ground was dry and the turf short, but a long strip of sunken land, some 10 miles wide, lay between them and the river wandering deep in dim thickets of reed and rush. Just to the west of the southernmost slope there was a great ring, where the turf had been torn and beaten by many trampling feet. From it the Orc trail ran out again, turning north along the dry skirts of the hills. Aragorn halted and examined the tracks closely. "They rested here a while," he said, "but even the outward trail is already old. I fear that your heart spoke truly, Legolas. It is thrice 12 hours, I guess, since the Orcs stood where we now stand. That math I actually can do. It's been a day and a half.
Yeah.
If they held to their pace, then at sundown yesterday they would reach the borders of Fangorn. I can see nothing away north or west but grass dwindling into mist," said Gimli. "Could we see the forest if we climbed the hills?" "It is still far away," said Aragorn. "If I remember rightly, these downs run 8 leagues or more to the north, and then northwest to the issuing of the Entwash there lies still a wide land. Another 15 leagues, it may be." "Well, let us go on," said Gimli. "My legs must forget the miles. They would be more willing if my heart were less heavy." The sun was sinking when at last they drew near to the end of the line of downs. For many hours they had marched without rest. They were going slowly now, and Gimli's back was bent. Stone hard are the dwarves in labor or journey, but this endless chase was beginning to tell on him, as all hope failed in his heart. Aragorn walked behind him, grim and silent, stooping now and again to scan some print or mark upon the ground. Only Legolas still stepped as lightly as ever, his feet hardly seeming to press the grass, leaving no footprints as he passed. But in the waybread of the elves he found all the sustenance that he needed, and he could sleep, if sleep it could be called by men, resting his mind in the strange paths of elvish dreams, even as he walked open-eyed in the light of this world. Nice work if you can get it.
Right? I want to sleep on my feet. Yeah.
I don't, but then I really like sleeping.
Okay, that's a good point.
Let us go up onto this green hill," he said. Wearily they followed him, climbing the long slope until they came out upon the top. It was a round hill, smooth and bare, standing by itself at the most northerly of the downs. This is a sort of an interesting parallel to the Barrow Downs, going up
Yeah.
onto the last hill at the end of the downs,
Right?
at the end of the day.
Yeah. But
Hmm.
nothing comes out and seizes them.
Well, that's because there's no barrows on these towns.
Yeah.
And it's a mere coincidence.
Just a parallel image.
Mm-hmm. The sun sank, and the shadows of evening fell like a curtain. They were alone in a gray, formless world, without mark or measure. Only far away northwest there was a deeper darkness against the dying light, the mountains of mist and the forest at their feet. Nothing we can see to guide us here," said Gimli. "Well, now we must halt again and wear the night away. It is growing cold." "The wind is north from the snows," said Aragorn. "And ere morning it will be in the east," said Legolas. "But rest if you must. Yet do not cast all hope away. Tomorrow is unknown. Reed oft is found at the rising of the sun." I'm not sure what reed means in this context. It's R-E-D-E. Did we ever look that up?
No. Do you want me to?
I can.
Cool.
I know you're painting at the moment.
I am. Nihonium.
It means like advice or explanation.
Oh, I see.
So like better counsel might come in the morning. Basically,
Exactly.
take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning is what Legolas is saying.
What he's saying is you take the lime and the coconut.
And then what?
And then you put one into the other. Yeah.
So should I drink it all up or?
Yes. Yes.
So to restate what has
Yes.
just been said, ere morning it will be in the east, said Legolas, but rest if you must. Yet do not cast all hope away. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. And they
Yes.
said, Doctor, is there something I can take?
Let me tell you what to do. Take the hobbits to Isengard.
Exactly. Lock 'em all up, you take the hobbit. Oh my. 3 suns already have risen on our chase and brought no counsel, said Gimli. I don't even have a coconut.
Just one. 3 times. Like,
Look, I mean, could be either.
can you
The
prove
knight.
they're all the same sun?
Okay, let's. Maybe that should be the next conspiracy theory.
Right.
We're in the market for a new one at my work. We've been doing birds aren't real for a year and we're tired of it.
All right. The sun is new every day. Like a totally different thing every day. Pass it around.
In the meantime, the night grew ever colder. Aragorn and Gimli slept fitfully, and whenever they awoke, they saw Legolas standing beside them, or walking to and fro, singing softly to himself in his own tongue. I can only picture that he's singing Lime in the Coconut. But in Elvish.
Oh, he's a Sindar elf. I have a Sindarin grammar. I don't think they have words for lime or coconut, but I'm sure I can find 2 other fruit.
You could get pretty close. So you work on that for next time. And as he sang, the white stars opened in the hard black vault above. So the night passed. Together they watched the dawn grow slowly in the sky, now bare and cloudless, until at last the sunrise came. It was pale and clear. The wind was in the east, and all the mists had rolled away. Wide lands lay bleak about them in the bitter light.
You know
That's
what's
that.
fucking hilarious about this, in the book especially, rather than the movie? Yesterday morning, Legolas was like, "Awake! Something awaits us! We have to go right now!" And then they walked for a day, and then they went to bed.
I mean,
Like, wah wah.
what are you gonna do? They ain't got a helicopter.
Well, maybe not ramp up the tension before nothing happens.
Look, we've talked about the pacing here.
That's
They
true.
walked for 3 days. We're gonna walk for 3 days.
I feel that something important is happening. We're walking.
Where? I don't know. When will we get there? I don't know.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
well, thanks for the update.
Thank you for that.
I mean, that is basically what it's like to have anxiety. Is your brain just wakes you up and goes, "Awake! Something's happening!" And you're like, "What?" And your brain's like, "I don't know."
Oh,
Something.
I had a panic attack last night because as I was going to sleep, a squirrel, not a squirrel, it was like a raccoon jumped on the kid's climbing toy, and I heard it. It was claws scrabbling on plastic. I recognized it for what it was, and then it stopped, and about 12 seconds later, my brain went, Was that claws on a climbing toy, or was that someone trying to open one of the downstairs windows? And adrenaline rush, eyes slammed open, and had to lay there in bed and talk myself out of that, because that's definitely not what it was. And if I try to follow up on my anxiety attacks, I will go start craving mad. So it was just like, I have to lay in bed and be like, no, no, trust your brain. Like, just trust the bit that recognized it for what it was in the first place.
I saw I saw a picture one time that was like a very accurate depiction of anxiety, and it was just a pop-up that said warning, but there was like no text. There wasn't an error message. It was just like a blank box, and then at the bottom it said okay.
Yes, that.
Mhm.
Oh God. Okay.
So Legolas is basically the elf representation of that.
Full circle.
Awake!
Awake, awake. Fell deeds await us. Somewhere. Sometime.
Sometime. And then he was like, "Sleep if you must, I guess. I'm an elf, so I don't really do that." And then while they're sleeping, he just paces back and forth and at the camp and sings "Lime in the Coconut."
Yes, I'm in the
You put lime in the coconut, you drink it all up. Okay.
Put the lime in the coconut and drink them both together. Anyway.
I don't know where we are here.
Yes.
The night passed. I think so. I think that's where we're at. Together
Yes.
they watched the dawn grow slowly in the sky, now bare and cloudless, until at last the sunrise came. It was pale and clear. The wind was in the east, and all the mists had rolled away. Wide lands lay bleak about them in the bitter light. Ahead and eastward they saw the windy uplands of the wold of Rohan they had already glimpsed many days ago from the great river. Northwestward stalked the dark forest of Fangorn. Still 10 leagues away stood its shadowy eaves, and its further slopes faded into the distant blue. Beyond there glimmered far away, as if floating on a grey cloud, the white head of tall Mithedras, the last peak of the misty mountains. Out of the forest the Entwash flowed to meet them, its stream now swift and narrow, and its banks deep cloven. The Orc trail turned from the downs towards it. Following with his keen eyes the trail to the river and then the river back towards the forest, Aragorn saw a shadow on the distant green, a dark, swift-moving blur. He cast himself upon the ground and listened again intently. But Legolas stood beside him, shading his bright elven eyes with his long, slender hand. And he saw not a shadow nor a blur, but the small figures of horsemen, many horsemen, and the glint of morning on the tips of their spears was like the twinkle of minute stars beyond the edge of mortal sight. Far behind them, a dark smoke rose in thin curling threads. And here's what gets me about this. He doesn't say anything.
Nope.
He's like, yeah, Aragorn's listening for it, and Legolas is like, oh yeah, horsemen, and just doesn't say like, hey bro, I can see them, here's what's happening.
Right? Until Aragorn is like, oh, I think blah.
Right? We're about to hear this, but I'm just saying, like, I've been holding back bitching about that ever since it says that Legolas sees them, because I can see down the page where he doesn't say anything. Anyway, there was a silence in the empty fields, as Legolas didn't say anything, and Gimli could hear the air moving in the grass. "Riders!" cried Aragorn, springing to his feet. "Many riders on swift steeds are coming towards us." "Yes," said Legolas. "There are 105. Yellow is their hair, and brighter their spears. Their leader is very tall." Why are you just doing this now?
So that he could show up Aragorn, of course. Wouldn't you?
No, because I'm not a bitch.
Bitch. This bears out my theory that elfish eyes are physiologically different, because even
Mm-hmm.
if they can see over the curvature of the earth, the detail that he catches suggests a telescopic vision.
I'm saying eagle eyes. I'm here for it.
Thank you.
Aragorn smiled. Keen are the eyes of the elves, he said.
And slow
Nay,
are their tongues.
serious. Nay, the riders are little more than 5 leagues distant, said Legolas. Okay, now you're just humble bragging. Let's calm down. 5 leagues or one, said Gimli. We cannot escape them in this bare land. Shall we wait for them here or go on our way? We will wait, said Aragorn. I am weary, and our hunt has failed, or at least others were before us. But these horsemen are riding back down the Orc trail. We may get news from them. Or spears, said Gimli. There are 3 empty saddles, but I see no hobbits, said Legolas. So now, okay,
Mhm.
I did not say that we should hear good news, said Aragorn. But evil or good, we will await it here. I like how they did this in the movie better,
Yeah. Where they just sort of appear.
where they just sort of appear, but also where they like find the site of the battle first and are like, "What the fuck?" And then the riders appear. Although it
No,
never makes sense why
no,
the riders went back.
no, that's totally not what happened.
Am I backwards on that? It's been a minute.
You've got it backwards. They came across the riders first, and the riders gave them horses, and with the horses they went to the thing. And there was the Aomer has the line about look for your friends, but do not trust to hope; it has forsaken these lands.
Oh, that's right.
There
I
you go.
forgot Aomer's emo moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone.
Beautiful, so fucking beautiful. I love Carl Arbon. Don't care who knows it.
The 3 companions now left the hilltop.
He looked so bitchin' in that helmet, and nobody else would have because it's a goofy ass helmet.
All of a sudden, I'm reminded of the third movie and the cast commentary where they're like, "We could not figure out why you picked those helmets. Like you had a selection, and all of a sudden, here come the bird people."
Bird people. Yes. It's true to the book, though. I mean, that's how the helmet's described in the book, so well done them.
We are very much not there yet, but anyway, let's see. The 3 companions now left the hilltop, where they might be an easy mark against the pale sky, and they walked slowly down the northward slope. A little above the hill's foot they halted, and wrapping their cloaks about them, they sat huddled together upon the faded grass. Time passed slowly and heavily. The wind was thin and searching. Gimli was uneasy. "What do you know of these horsemen, Aragorn?" he said. "Do we sit here waiting for sudden death?" "I have been among them," answered Aragorn. "They are proud and wilful, but they are true-hearted, generous in thought and deed, bold but not cruel, wise but unlearned, writing no books but singing many songs, after the manner of the children of men before the dark years. I do not know what has happened here of late, nor in what mind the Rohirrim may now be, between the traitor Saruman and the threat of Sauron. They have long been the friends of the people of Gondor, though they are not akin to them. It was in forgotten years, long ago, that Eorl the Young brought them out of the north, and their kinship is rather with the Bardings of Dale and with the Beornings of the wood, among whom may still be seen many men tall and fair, as are the riders of Rohan. At least, they will not love the orcs. But Gandalf spoke of a rumor that they pay tribute to Mordor, said Gimli. I believe it no more than did Boromir, answered Aragorn. You will soon learn the truth, said Legolas. Already they approach. At length, even Gimli could hear the distant beat of galloping hoofs. The horsemen, following the trail, had turned from the river and were drawing near the downs. They were riding like the wind. Now the cries of clear, strong voices came ringing over the fields. Suddenly they swept up with a noise like thunder, and the foremost horseman swerved, passing by the foot of the hill and leading the host back southward along the western skirts of the downs. After him they rode, a long line of mail-clad men, swift, shining, fell and fair to look upon. Their horses were of great stature, strong and clean-limbed. Their grey coats glistened, their long tails flowed in the wind, their manes were braided on their proud necks. As a side note, for those who may not know much about horses, gray when it refers to horses means white.
It can, but I mean, gray is kind of a range, isn't it?
I thought it mostly just meant white. Like there's like you can call a white horse white, but typically let me see.
I was picturing them different shades of gray, like everything from white with the like dark faces to dapple gray to
I mean, dapple gray definitely could be
I
a
can see
thing.
that.
Gray is a coat color of horses. It's characterized by progressive depigmentation of the colored hairs of the coat. Most gray horses have black skin and dark eyes.
Yes.
They may be born any base color depending on other color genes present. White hairs begin to appear at or shortly after birth and become progressively more prevalent as the horse ages. It can occur at different rates, very quickly on one horse and very slowly on another. As
That
adults, most gray horses eventually become completely white.
that explains Talat in The Hero and the Crown.
Sure does. So we've all learned a thing about horses and
Yeah.
a thing about the word read, and it is an educational day here on this podcast.
And all about what Legolas was singing while the others were sleeping. And
Indeed.
what you do after you put the lime in the coconut.
Yes. Very educational. Let's see, where were we? The men that rode them matched them well, tall and long-limbed, their hair flaxen pale, flowing under their light helms, and streamed in long braids. Their hair, flaxen pale, flowed under their light helms. There we go, and
Yeah.
streamed in long braids behind them. Their faces were stern and keen. In their hands were tall spears of ash, painted shields were slung at their backs, long swords were at their belts, and their burnished shirts of mail hung down upon their knees. In pairs they galloped by, and though every now and then one rose in his stirrups and gazed ahead and to either side, they appeared not to perceive the three strangers sitting silently and watching them. The host had almost passed when suddenly Aragorn stood up and called in a loud voice, "What news from the north, riders of Rohan?" With astonishing speed and skill, they checked their steeds, wheeled, and came charging round. Soon the three companions found themselves in a ring of horsemen moving in a running circle, up the hill slope behind them and down, round and round them, and drawing ever inwards. Aragorn stood silent, and the other two sat without moving, wondering what way things would turn. Without a word or cry, suddenly the riders halted. A thicket of spears were pointed towards the strangers, and some of the horsemen had bows in hand, and their arrows were already fitted to the string. Then one rode forward, a tall man, taller than all the rest. From his helm as a crest a white horsetail flowed. He advanced. Yeah, it is hard to pull off that look.
Yeah.
He advanced until the point of his spear was within a foot of Aragorn's breast. Aragorn did not stir. "Who are you?"
Miss.
"Who are you, and what are you doing in this land?" said the rider, using the common speech of the West, in manner and tone like to the speech of Boromir, man of Gondor. I'm increasingly glad I didn't give Boromir a southern accent as I had initially planned, and you aggressively vetoed.
You're welcome.
"Who are you, and what are you doing in this land?" Yeah, see, we don't want that.
No.
Nobody
Nope.
Dare, 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 dare. That scene where the riders like turn and go around them, but it's just yakety sax.
Seemed like the Rohirrim didn't see our three heroes pull up.
Them Rohan boys better ride fast if they want to get to the orcs before they reach Saruman.
Our three hunters are in a lick of trouble.
So I have recently learned, for reasons which I shall not trouble you, how to say "thanks, I hate it" in 3 languages. And I feel like
Which 3?
English, Spanish, and French, and I can type it out in Korean, but I don't know how to pronounce Korean characters.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I will trouble you with the reason,
Yeah, I
because
was
it's a
going to
good
ask
story.
you actually.
So, uh, we had a place at work that you know someone found out about that was a combination sushi and Italian restaurant, and we were like, why? But also, what do they serve there? So we started coming up with things, and someone was like, I mean, I'd eat sashimi on spaghetti, and I was like, thanks, I hate it. That's the worst thing that you could have possibly said. And he was like, oh, I'll make it a little bit better. Alfredo sauce. And then somebody else was like, I think it was like spaghetti sushi rolls, but like rolled up in a lasagna noodle or something. Just, it was terrible. It was the worst. And so I first I said, thanks, I hate it. And then someone came up with something else terrible. And I was like, I need to say that I need another language to say this in. So I Googled it and was like, gracias, lo odio. And then I think the last one was like squid pizza. And I was just like, merci, je déteste.
Je detest.
And that's the story of
I love
why
it.
I learned how. Yeah. Ugh.
Awesome.
Just sashimi with Alfredo sauce. Why? Why is that a thing that I have ever been forced to think about?
It would frankly be challenging to think of anything on an Italian sushi menu that wouldn't be horrifying. There's
Yeah, it
not a
would.
lot of overlap there. Like maybe um tuna antipasta,
Sure.
perhaps? Or just have the Italians supply the wine.
Limoncello flavored mochi would be pretty good.
That would be good. Yeah. Or even sambuca mochi. That'd be
Hmm.
delicious. I'd eat that.
There we go. We've
Yeah.
solved it. You're welcome, restaurant whose name I can't remember. Um, I will not be taking constructive criticism at this time. Merci, je déteste. Okay, let's see. Anyway, uh, the writer, who did not speak in any sort of Southern accent whatsoever, but did sound like Boromir, asked Aragorn, "Who are you, and what are you doing in this land?"
Yes.
"I am called Strider," answered Aragorn. "I came out of the north. I am hunting orcs." The rider leaped from his horse. Giving his spear to another, who rode up and dismounted at his side, he drew his sword and stood face to face with Aragorn, surveying him keenly and not without wonder. At length he spoke again. "At first I thought that you yourselves were orcs," he said, "but now I see that it is not so. Indeed, you know little of orcs if you go hunting them in this fashion. They were swift and well armed, and they were many. You would have changed from hunters to prey if ever you had overtaken them." This is I forgot how much of a dick measuring contest this was. Good
Oh
lord.
my god, it's so awesome. Keep going. I love the bit where Gimli is like, I'm gonna kill you now for speaking ill. Oh, do it.
Ahem. "But there is something strange about you, Strider." He bent his clear, bright eyes again upon the ranger. "That is no name for a man that you give. And
Yeah.
strange, too, is your raiment. Have you sprung out of the grass? How did you escape our sight? Are you elvish folk?" "No," said Aragorn, to all of
Well,
those questions. "Nope."
well, except for him.
"One only of us is an elf, legless, from the woodland realm in distant Mirkwood. But we have passed through Lothlorien, and the gifts and favor of the lady go with us." The rider looked at them with renewed wonder, but his eyes hardened. "Then there is a lady in the Golden Wood, as old tales tell," he said. Few escape her nets, they say. These are strange days. But if you have her favor, then you also are net weavers and sorcerers, maybe. He turned a cold glance suddenly upon Legolas and Gimli. Why do you not speak, silent ones? He demanded. Gimli rose and planted his feet firmly apart. His hand gripped the handle of his axe, and his dark eyes flashed. Give me your name, horse master, and I will give you mine, and more besides, he said. As for that, said the rider, staring down at the dwarf, the stranger should declare himself first. Everybody's a stranger, you don't know each other.
Yeah.
Yet, I am named Eomer, son of Eamund, and I am called the third Marshal of Riddermark. Then Eomer, son of Eamund, third Marshal of Riddermark, let Gimli the dwarf, Gloin's son, warn you against foolish words. You speak evil of that which is fair beyond the reach of your thought, and only little wit can excuse you. Eomer's eyes blazed, and the men of Rohan murmured angrily and closed in, advancing their spears. I would cut off your head, beard and all, Master Dwarf, if it stood but a little higher from the ground, said Éomer. Like, I love it. Gimli's like, you are talking shit about stuff you don't understand, and the only reason is because you're stupid. And
Yeah.
Éomer goes, oh yeah, well, you're short. Great comeback, dude. Really proves that he's wrong about how dumb you are.
Yeah, well, you're ugly.
Your mama. He
Oh.
stands not alone, said Legolas, bending his bow and fitting an arrow with hands that moved quicker than sight. You would die before your stroke fell.
Yeah.
Éomer raised his sword, and things might have gone ill, but Aragorn sprang between them and raised his hand. Your pardon, Éomer, he cried. Don't say sorry to him. He started it. When you know more, you will understand why you have angered my companions. We intend no evil to Rohan, nor to any of its folk, neither to man nor to horse. Because horses are people too. Rohan, where men are men and horses are also men.
It shows he's very, very diplomatic.
Will you not hear our tale before you strike? I will, said Éomer, lowering his blade. But wanderers in the Riddermark would be wise to be less haughty in these days of doubt. First tell me your right name. First tell me whom you serve, said Aragorn.
Yep.
This whole scene, my God. Are you friend or foe of Sauron, the Dark Lord of Mordor? I serve only the Lord of the Mark, Theoden King, son of Thengel, answered Éomer. We do not serve the power of the Black Land far away, but neither are we yet at open war with him, and if you are fleeing from him, then you had best leave this land. There's trouble now on all our borders, and we are threatened. But we desire only to be free and to live as we have lived, keeping our own and serving no foreign lord, good or evil. We welcomed guests kindly in the better days, but in these times the unbidden stranger finds us swift and hard. And then oh God. Okay, in these days the unbidden stranger finds us swift and hard. Come.
Well, I told you we're swift.
Anyway, who are you? He did not say it that shrilly. I'm just trying not to laugh. Who are you? Whom do you serve? At whose command you hunt orcs in our land? I serve no man, said Aragorn, but the servants of Sauron I pursue into whatever land they may go. There are few among mortal men who know more of orcs, and I do not hunt them in this fashion out of choice. The orcs whom we pursued took captive 2 of my friends. In such need, a man that has no horse will go on foot, and he will not ask for leave to follow the trail, nor will he count the heads of the enemy, save with a sword. I am not weaponless. Aragorn threw back his cloak. The elven sheath glittered as he grasped it, and the bright blade of Anduril shone like a sudden flame as he swept it out. Elendil, he cried. Why?
Grandpa!
Grandpa! I feel like there's actually an argument to be made that this entire scene could be done really well in a southern accent.
Grandpa!
Grandpa! I would cut off your head if it stood but a little further from the ground. Just saying.
Strider's no name for a man.
Maybe as bonus content, we'll just do this entire scene, but just as a live reading in a southern accent. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, when we have an audience.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and am called Elisar, the Elfstone, Dunedain, the heir of Isildur, Elendil, son of Gondor. Okay.
Yeah.
You went from like I'm Strider and I won't tell you anything else to here is every name I've ever been given. Like,
you want to know who you're fucking with? This is who you're fucking with.
Here is the sword that was broken and is forged again. Will you aid me or thwart me? Choose swiftly. Aragorn, honey.
Not diplomatic anymore.
This is not how you de-escalate a potentially violent situation. At no point should one ever draw one's sword and say, "You want to fight, bro?" That's not how.
I am legendary badass. Are you on my side or not?
Yep. Gimli and Legolas looked at their companion in amazement, for they had not seen him in this mood before. Whoa. Okay. Dude, chill.
Right.
That's chill.
Dude.
He seemed to have grown in stature, while Éomer had shrunk, and in his living face they caught a brief vision of the power and majesty of the kings of stone. For a moment it seemed to the eyes of Legolas that a white flame flickered on the brows of Aragorn like a shining crown. Okay, he seriously needs to chill.
Yeah.
But it worked, because Éomer stepped back, and a look of awe was in his face. He cast down his proud eyes. Aw, snap! These are indeed strange days, he muttered. Dreams and legends spring to life out of the grass. Tell me, Lord, he said, what brings you here, and what was the meaning of the dark words? Long has Boromir, son of Denethor, been gone, seeking an answer, and the horse that we lent him came back riderless. What doom do you bring out of the north? The doom of choice, said Aragorn. You may say this to Theoden, son of Thengel. Open war lies before him with Sauron or against him. None may live now as they have lived, and few shall keep what they call their own. But of these great matters we will speak later, if chance allows. I will come myself to the king. But now I am in great need, and I ask for help, or at least for tidings. You heard that we are pursuing an host that carried off our friends. What can you tell us? That you need not pursue them further, said Éomer. The orcs are destroyed. And our friends? We found none but orcs. But that is strange indeed, said Aragorn. Did you search the slain? Were there no bodies other than those of orc kind? They would be small, only children to your eyes, unshod but clad in grey. There were no dwarves nor children, said Éomer, and we counted all the slain and despoiled them, which really, again, does not mean what it meant back then, but okay. I guarantee you the writers of Rohan did not despoil orcs in the way that you... Yeah, that didn't happen. Anyway, then we piled the carcasses and burned them as in our custom. The ashes are smoking still. We do not speak of dwarves or children, said Gimli. Our friends were hobbits. Hobbits? Said Éomer. And what may they be? It is a strange name. A strange name for a strange folk, said Gimli, but these were very dear to us. It seems that you have heard in Rohan of the words that troubled Minas Tirith. They spoke of the halfling. These hobbits are halflings. Halflings, laughed the rider who stood beside Eomer. Halflings? But they are only a little people in old songs and children's tales out of the north. Do we walk in legends or on the green earth in the daylight? A
I
man.
kind of love this because if it's like if somebody showed up and was like, "I am the direct descendant of Alexander the Great, father to son for thousands of years," and you'd be like, okay, I buy it. What are you after? I am after the Jack who killed the giant. He's my friend." And you're like, okay,
A what now?
yeah. Like,
Cool.
what?
So
Yeah.
let's back up.
We're desperately seeking Hansel and Gretel. Or little purple pixies.
You're right.
Okay, now shut up.
I'm following a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Have you seen it?
It's very dear to me.
Do we walk in legends or on the green earth in the daylight? A man made you both, said Aragorn.
Best answer ever.
That is a good comeback.
A man can do two things.
For not we, but those who come after will make the legends of our time. The green earth, say you? That is a mighty matter of legend, though you tread it under the light of day.
Very philosophical, dude.
Mm-hmm. Very philosophical. I like it.
Yeah.
Time is pressing, said the rider, not heeding Aragorn. We must hasten south, Lord. Let us leave these wild folk to their fancies, or let us bind them and take them to the king. Peace, Eothane, said Eomer in his own tongue. Leave me a while. Tell the Aerid to assemble on the path, and make ready to ride to the Entwade. Entwade is a better name than Entwash, I'm just going to say. I think the Rohirrim are onto something here.
Absolutely.
That actually puts us at the end of a section, and we're at 9:57, so I think that's a good place to stop.
Cool.
This chapter had a lot of drama.
Yeah. Which we undercut, because we do.
I think in this case we enhanced, really.
Yeah. Because, you know, anything gets more intense when you take a lime.
Just a lime?
And a coconut. And
well, you know, take the lime and the coconut and call me in the morning.
Okay, then. I can do that.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
And by in the morning, I mean on Sunday at noon.
I'll see you then. I love you.
I love you too.
Cuidado.
Te amas.